Take two.
Everyone.
Second time's a charm. Hey, everybody. Hope you had an awesome Thanksgiving. Mike and Janelle Friedrich here. And we actually have something on our heart that we felt that was really, really critical that we wanted to share with you because it's something that keeps coming up over and over. And over the last couple of years, we've had over 650 applications that have come in looking for marriage help. And the number one, 80% of the time, the number one thing that keeps coming up is wives that want spiritual connection within their marriage. And, this is something that's really, really heavy on women's hearts. Guys, it comes up, but it's not as much. I know for the women, and I know you're going to jump in here and say this in just a moment, but here's the thing that we hear over and over is that they want to have a spiritually connected home. They want to have a God-centered home. And they just want to feel like they're moving in the same direction with feeling like they have God at the center of their home. Now, many of us would consider, if you consider yourself a Christian and you have, you go to church, which is all good, but what are you doing to grow as a couple? And for most couples, they're not growing. And the pain in that we hear over and over and over is a feeling of they're feeling alone. Women are feeling their despair. They're feeling angry. They're feeling frustrated. They're worried about the example that they're setting for their kids. And all of that leads to a deep heartache and a hole within the holes of the heart of within women. And so I don't know if you want to jump in here, babe.
Yeah. Well, and these women, what they share is that there's no intimacy. So intimacy means several different things. There's several levels of intimacy. There's the physical intimacy. There's the emotional intimacy, spiritual intimacy, intellectual, mental intimacy. All of it is so super important. And these women are coming to us and they're just going, what do we do? How do we do this? How do we even go about fixing this issue, especially when there's a husband that doesn't want help? Or there's a husband that maybe got help before and it was really bad, or they went to counseling before and things didn't go well, or they've had bad experiences, or they've heard horrible things about therapists or counselors or whatever. And so there's these men that are totally pushing against the woman wanting help, right? So they're not willing to go to marriage counseling. They're not willing to get any help. And we have these women that so here's what I want to say is if you're a woman on here right now and you're dealing with having no spiritual connection, having no intimacy in your relationship, no spiritual intimacy, emotional intimacy, right? All of the levels of intimacy. Don't just not do anything. Like, don't just stop and not do anything because your husband doesn't want to. You can get help. There's things that you can do for you to get help. And I know it because I walked through it myself many years ago in our relationship. And we've helped many other women walk through it too.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Because here's what you guys need to know is that the longer that you wait to do it God's way, the more that you're going to encourage your husband to do the same. And for most husbands, it's not that they don't want that. It's just that they don't know how to access that. There's a feeling within each of us men that we want to be the provider. We want to be the man. That's just deep in our hearts. We want to be able to be the provider. And when we don't necessarily know how to do it, we shrink back. We go into shame because we just don't have the answers. And the truth is, most of us don't. Most of us we didn't grow up in a home where it was modeled for us.
Yeah.
We don't know how to be the spiritual leader.
Yeah.
And so it's not that most of us don't want to do that. We just don't necessarily know how to.
Yeah. Well, or something's happened, or it's gotten so bad over the years that you've withdrawn even more. And then what happens with the woman is the woman becomes more angry, right? And she's bitter and she's frustrated. I know because I walked through it, right? Too. I walked through it myself. So I know how these women feel. So then what happens is these women go into control mode and they start controlling everything, and they do it out of goodwill. They do it, so then they start running the home. They're the ones making all the decisions. They're the ones doing everything with the children, right? They feel like they're carrying the load for everything, and the weight is really, really super heavy. And so, and here's what I want to do is I want to ask you this, okay? I want to ask you this. What if your marriage, like what would it be like if you did not hold anything back from each other? Like, what would your marriage be like if you didn't hold anything back? If you didn't hold back your emotions, your thoughts, your affection, your time, your dreams, money, prayer, your body, your past, apologies. I'm going to keep going because I have a whole list here, right? Fears, advice, desires, deepest fears. Like, what would your marriage be like? Literally, like, what would it be like that if you could be with your spouse, you could be with your husband, and that no matter what, you were completely loved? No matter what, you were completely loved. Even after sharing all your emotions, your thoughts, your fears, all of your dreams, your desires, everything, what would it be like to really, really fully be loved by each other and have a marriage that you can, that's like that, a marriage? And I get really passionate about this subject because we have so many women. It's so heartbreaking. And then these women, they don't do anything. They just get stuck. And it's like, whether you decide to hire us and you work with us or you go somewhere else, I tell these women, get help. Don't go any longer without getting help. You need help. There is so much. And I know this because 12, 13, almost 14 years ago, I walked through this myself, right? And it's like, there is things that the woman can do. So if you're a woman listening to this right now, there are many things that you can do as a woman to help this situation and to actually transform the marriage. And it talks about it in Peter, in First Peter. It talks about that the woman, if they change their conduct, even if their husbands, and I'm paraphrasing, even if their husbands are ungodly and they're not doing the godly things that they're supposed to do, that you could win them over. You could literally win them over. It's a command. It's a scripture in the Bible that says that. And so there's so many things that you can do as the woman to transform the marriage.
You might be thinking to yourself, like, he's not going to change. Like, nothing will change.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point? It seems like too much work. But what if?
Mhm.
Like, what if you could be the catalyst for that redemptive work in your husband's heart?
Oh, wow.
Like,
say that again.
What if you could be the catalyst to do the redemptive work in your husband's heart, to lift him up into who God's called him to be? Because it's not even just who God's called him to be, but it's also what God called you to be, and also what he's called you both to be, because each of you has a marriage identity. It's greater than you individually. And when you can do that, look out. Your legacy for your kids, for your family, your marriage, there's only one way to do this, and it's God's way. And the longer that you wait to do it God's way, the harder and harder and the more painful it is. And like Janelle said, even if it's not with us, like, don't just not do something. Like, do something, even if he's not ready. Like, there's people out there that can walk you through this. And we've seen it happen over and over and over, because I was that guy. I was that guy that was slow to want to jump into that spiritual head of the family, because I didn't know what it looked like. I didn't know how to do it. I was freaked out. Like, what if I did it wrong? I look at these pastors on stage. I'm like, man, he prays way better than I can. Like, I'm going to look like an idiot if I go up there and I start praying for the family. When in truth, she wasn't really, none of that conversation was going on in her head, but for me it was. And so I just want to release you women that may be watching this, and maybe guys too, to step into what God's called you to be as a family. Because until that happens, there's going to be regret. There's going to be, I wish it was different. And you're going to carry that in. And meanwhile, your kids are getting older and older.
Well, and the women that we talk to, and then we're going to close out because we want to keep this short, because we feel that it, like, there are some women watching this and that are going to watch the replay that, like, you need help and you need it now. And these women that we talk to and that we're helping, none of them want to leave the marriage. None of them want to leave the marriage. So get this for a second. They don't want to leave the marriage. So the only opportunity they have is to try and save it. So why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do everything that God has for you to save the marriage, to change you? You're wanting so badly to have spiritual connection in your home. And do it for God. Do it for your husband. And if your husband listening to this, do it for your wife. But do it for your husband. Do it for your children, because it's a legacy. Your children are going to do what you do. They will imitate what you do. They will do what you do. So if you surrender your heart and you do the work, but here's the thing, is that we need community to heal, and we need our identity comes out in community. And we need people to walk alongside us to help us out with accountability, with support, with encouragement, all those things that we need. We need people because it's hard and it's tough, especially when you have a husband that's completely checked out, especially when there's been infidelity, especially when there's been a lot of lack of trust, a lot of things that have been broken in the marriage. You need people that have walked through it. We've walked through it. You need people that have walked through it. And you need an expert. You need someone who knows what they're doing, right? To come alongside you and to help you. And so if you're listening right now and you're one of those people, don't hold back anymore. And I know right now, because it's the holidays, and the holidays are the worst for couples that aren't doing well, because it's like this big pink elephant in the room. And it's like, and so you need this more than ever right now, but so do your children and your grandchildren and your great grandchildren, and for all of the years to come. Now, I want to say one last thing. I was talking to a woman a few days ago before Thanksgiving, and we were talking about how their children are going to be out of the house in the next 7 years. And I said, you're going to look at your husband and you're going to be like, who are you? I don't even know who you are. I don't even know. I don't, it's like you have 30, 40 years left with this man and your children are going to be gone and you don't know each other. You can't stand each other. You actually really don't like each other, right? Because you haven't dealt with all those things that need to be dealt with and haven't gotten healing and all that. There is a solution, and we are here, and we're here to help you. So please reach out. We love you so much.
We'll put a link in the comments there. So if you want to book an appointment, just let us know. You can click on that link and then I'll check you to our calendar page. But let us know if we can help. Okay.
Yes.
God bless.
Thank everyone. God bless.